Alright, one of the things that has to happen in negotiation is you have to be able to communicate back and forth with the other person, both verbal and nonverbal, and I really think nonverbal is very important. The seminar I went to this summer, the guy said he didn't think nonverbal was that important. Why is nonverbal important?
Like you're saying, like nonverbal,
yeah.
Nonverbals are super important. It's almost like the body's got reaction to something. So even if you don't consciously want to do it, your body's telling you that.
Yeah, I think people, we react to stuff without thinking sometimes.
As I say, that they feed this bad information is very.
I think so, and more honest information. Because you sometimes can't help, I think, react. But somebody's good, so why is it good to be a good nonverbal communicator? Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, you don't hide some of your nonverbals, as well as like show them.
Or stuff, if you're good at like flinching or something that's really not necessarily true, but you can also send a signal to try to be misleading also. So I personally think you should look at nonverbal a whole lot. I really don't understand the guy saying that he didn't think nonverbal was important, because I think it's a very important part of it. So what is communicated during the negotiation? So the offers, counter-offers, and motives. Okay, your offer, the first thing that we throw out, counter-offers, what they respond with, and then motive. Why are they reacting, how they're reacting, and all of those are shaped by internal and external environmental factors. Internal are things they control. External, maybe things outside of the realm of something they control. And look at that last bullet, information about alternatives. If you let your opponent know you have an attractive BATNA, it lowers their aspiration level. When you're at the car lot, if you say, yeah, I just got through looking at a car down the street that Toyota has one very similar that I liked a lot. Why would you say that? Yeah, let them know that I'm not here, and I'm not necessarily falling in love with your product. I've got other things that I'm looking at, so hopefully that makes them get aggressive. Same thing with, you're dealing with real estate people. Yeah, we just looked at a house yesterday and my wife really likes a lot. Why would I say that? To try to get them, even if I like that house, to try to get them to lower their aspiration level, because alternatives, once again, what do? They give you strength if you have good alternatives, allow you to push and be a little more aggressive. So what are some factors? Time constraints, alternatives, and constituency pressure. If you tell somebody, yeah, I've got to get this, I've already got this job, so I've got to be out of here in 2 weeks. Why would you tell somebody that? Other than it's true. Yeah, why would you? To get the deal closed faster, but does that put you in a position of, what does time do for you as far as position of strength?
That hurts you.
Yeah, if you don't have time, it hurts you. If somebody knows you've got to get something done in a short period of time, then that gives them the advantage if they are able to wait. So time, alternatives, if you have them, tell them. If you don't, I wouldn't mention that. So try to shape it or frame it such that it's going to be in your advantage. Okay, information about outcomes. Be careful about sharing information. They did a study, and they said, it was based on kind of points, and they said when people didn't know how the other person did, they were generally satisfied. If they thought that the other person was happy about the way they did, it automatically made the other person feel not as happy. So why would that be?
It's like an anchor.
Like an anchor? Yeah, if you felt like if that other person did it well, then what had to have happened? I had to have not done well. Okay? Is it possible for both parties to do well? Sure it is. But it's psychological. So if you're gloating at the end of it or talking about how happy you are, then generally it just said, and it didn't necessarily mean that they did bad, but psychologically the other party perceived that they didn't do as well. And you got to be careful with people's psyche during, especially if you're going to be doing repeat business. All right, so what's communicated? Social accounts are used to justify bad news, and there's 3 social accounts. Mitigating circumstances. Well, I know it looks like this, but I really had no other choice. I had to take the deal or it was going away. That's called mitigating circumstances. Exonerating circumstances. Explain the position from a broader position. While it may seem positive, it's negative, it's from positive motives. Well, I know we had talked about doing something, but once again, I know it looks like a bad deal, but if you think about it in the long term, it's really, really going to be a good investment. And then reframing explanations, explain by changing the context. So that's when we talked about last chapter in framing. Try to shape or change the way that it's viewed. In short term, long term, or some of those things. Some things that look really good in the short term may not be good in the long term and vice versa. So that you can frame it either one of those ways. So communication about the process. How well is it going? What might be adopted to improve the situation? And it can help strengthen the relationship. Once again, the process is very important. How do we get from A to Z? So 3 key questions. Are negotiators consistent or adaptive? Consistent meaning you keep the same style all the time. What's wrong with being consistent? You become predictable. Exactly. Especially when dealing with employees. If they can read you and know what you're going to do, then they can push you to a certain point. So what does adaptive mean? It means you kind of respond and you can change to the flow. I think good negotiators have to be adaptive at some point because there's things in the negotiation you can't control. You've got to be able to shift gears or change when necessary. Number 2, doesn't matter what is said early in the process. Does it matter what's said early? Especially if people have good memories. Yeah, it matters. Because you ever go back and all of a sudden things get better, but then you keep thinking back to what somebody said something and you just can't let it go? These politicians are dealing with that now. Does it matter what they said earlier in their careers? Or people just change, right? And people pull out stuff from, well, back in 19, is it possible that people evolved? Absolutely. But it's also a positive chance that people were honest back then too. So what you say early on matters. So be careful what you say. And is more information always better? And I've pretty much told you guys that in my opinion, the more information you have, the better it is. However, there was evidence and research that said having more information does not automatically translate into better outcomes. What's wrong with too much information?
Overanalyze it.
Overanalyze it?
Yeah, trouble just shifting through it all.
Bog down. Okay, there's so much out there. Do I get to it, and do I get to the key information that I really need? Once again, if I had the option, I would still rather have more information because information, once again, is a strength of a situation that can put you in strength and power, but keep in mind it doesn't necessarily always translate into a better outcome, but I would still rather have it. All right, so how people communicate, use of language operates at 2 levels. Logical is pretty much the words that are spoken, and then the pragmatic level is the way the words are spoken. So what's more important, the words or how you say them? I think they both can be important. You guys had, and I'm sure you have, and I have too, like speakers that come in that are very, very knowledgeable, but the delivery is not real exciting. What's the problem when you have not good delivery, even if it's great content? You drift sometimes. So I think it is a combination of both. You need good information, but you also need the ability to convey it in a way that people are going to understand it, hear it, process it. So nonverbal. Eye contact. Very, very important. You guys that are interviewing, look at people. People look at them. Are you looking me in the eye when we're talking? Adjusting your body position shows discomfort, can show like flinching, and then non-verbally encouraging or discouraging what the other says, folding your arms as a measure. Once again, I told you the lady has written a book on body language that, when you lean it means one thing. When you're, what's it mean? This is easy. When you're like leaning forward.
You're interested.
Yeah, you're interested, it's aggressive, versus leaning back kind of suggests that maybe I'm not as interested. So little kind of keys and verbal stuff I think can read a lot into the negotiation. Okay, you don't need to know these for exam, but it's just, it talks about it, and one of the things that polarizing language, and what that is when you talk about yourself or your policies, and think about the politics that are going on now, you talk in very positive terms, and when they talk about the other party or the other people, it's always very negative. That is very polarizing, and yet it's interesting to watch these people as they drop than the alliances that are made that are going on. It's really very interesting if you study that. Conveyance of verbal immediacy. Telling people you got to get it done in a hurry. The degree of your language intensity, they say the more intense it shows, the more committed you are to it. Degree of lexical diversity. Why do people use big words sometimes?
Sound intelligent?
Yeah, to make them sound like they're intelligent or the smartest person in the room. And does that intimidate people sometimes, maybe? Yeah, it could. Because it may put you on the defensive that this person is maybe more intelligent than I am. And then high-powered language style is more just the fiery delivery kind of. But once again, those are all you don't need to worry about for exam, but those are ways that you can kind of use words, and not just words, but delivery to make your point. So how people communicate. Selection of a communication channel. It's different when it occurs through different channels. There's a variety of communication media. Phone and writing, increasingly through electronic channels or virtual negotiation. So what does face-to-face allow us to do?
See the nonverbal.
See the nonverbal. Okay, we still can hear the word, right? What about phone? Is that a good medium?
Can be.
Hear the words, hear the inflections and the tone, but what are we missing on phone? The facial and verbal and non-verbal. What about writing? Exactly. What do you boil down to when you do something in writing? Just the facts. Right. So, can that be better sometimes? And you'll see in a minute, or go ahead down there now. There's evidence that email negotiations reach more equal agreements because what it does, it negates the physical skill of a negotiator if you're dealing by email, because it allows people to take their time, kind of ponder and think about the opponent's message, and the physical negotiating skills are not a factor. There's also less chance to build a relationship, which we said building relationships is good, but it can also have you give in at times if you build a relationship that maybe you're like that person, so you're going to not be as hard on them. You're going to maybe give them a little better deal. So, and virtual now, so what about virtual? What about go to a meeting or something where you're not physically in the same room, but you can actually still see the person? Are you missing much, you think?
Besides the handshake, not much.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you can see the person and see the nonverbal gestures, it's a pretty level playing field once again. And that is, you're going to find that more and more prevalent in your guys' career just because of the cost of travel and the way that technology is being used. Social bandwidth distinguishes one communication channel from the other, and so social bandwidth is defined as the ability of a channel to carry and convey subtle social and relational cues from sender to receiver. And so the social bandwidth of physical or virtual is much broader than that of just in writing or email because you're able to transmit more information. All right, so how do we improve our communication? We've talked about this. Use of questions, listening, role reversal. So questions come in two different categories. You can have what are called manageable questions. Can cause attention or prepare the other party's thinking for future questions. So really kind of leading probing questions are manageable. May I ask you a question? They can be used to get information. Okay, I'm interested, how much is it going to cost? And then general thoughts, do you have any suggestions? So all those are manageable questions or one really we're trying to gather information. We can also have what are called unmanageable questions, and these are ones that cause us trouble. Where did you get that dumb idea? That's really not a good statement for a negotiation, especially one if you're hoping to do an integrated negotiation. Don't you know we couldn't afford this? Didn't I tell you when we came in here our budget was $15,000? And then bring the discussion to a false conclusion. Don't you think we've talked about this enough? So all those are examples of what are called unmanageable questions. Okay, listening. Good negotiators are good listeners. Good managers are good listeners. Guys, you need to develop the skill to be a good listener. Why do you think it's so hard to be a good listener?
Because you care more about what you have to say.
Yeah, because people like to talk. And think about it, and I don't know if you guys got friends that like to talk all the time? And they call you and you just listen and listen and listen? Those good friends? I've got some that it's to the point now, the older you get, the less tolerant you are for stuff like that. But to me, good friends are people that ask about me and my family, but I've got people that I'm friends with that the conversation's like 95-5. And I'm the 5 that's just listening, and I am a good listener. But what happens after a while when that happens? Yeah, you quit answering the phone. It happens. Learn how to be a good listener. Good listeners, I mean, it's. You think being a good listener makes you likable? I do, because people like to talk. So people that are good listeners, I think the people I know that have a lot of friends, a lot of them are very good listeners. But it's also, it can gain you respect, but what else can it do? Knowledge, information. That's why you want to be a good listener. And the other part of being a good listener is you hear and process the information, then you can ask the right questions. What more information do I need? So there's 3 different types of listeners. Passive listening. You receive the message while providing no feedback. Okay, you want to make people very uncomfortable? You guys like passive listeners? You're sitting there saying something to them, and they're just sitting there just looking at you. Okay, this is parenting skill 101. Your parents ever do that to you when you've done something that probably shouldn't have done, and you just want some feedback or some encouragement, and they're just sitting there letting you talk, and you're just keeping on talking? Yeah. It makes people nervous. So go back to, I know I said that earlier in the course. Say what you have to say, then be quiet. Okay, that is a passive listener. There's some, and what does passive listening do, though, also? It gets you information, because people get very nervous and uncomfortable when that situation happens. So how do they break that? They start talking. All right, acknowledgement, listening. Receivers nod their head, maintain eye contact. We like that, because then we know that they're agreeing or appear to be processing what we're saying. And then the most type of engaged listening is called active listening, and that's when the people complete your sentence for you before you get it out. So in that situation, you know they're thinking along the same lines as you when they're active listening. So all of those have a place. There's times when you need to be an active listener. I think there's also times when you can be a passive listener, and that can be a good tool for you. All right, role reversal. Very important also. Put yourself in the other person's position. Why are they wanting what they want? If you can understand that, it's going to help you. Once again, I keep saying this is a psychology class. Negotiating is psychology. Understanding the other party, what drives them, what motivates them. And so negotiators understand the other party's positions by actively arguing these positions until the other party is convinced that he or she is understood. And then the success of role reversal. Research has shown that role reversal is a useful tool for improving communication and accurate understanding and appreciation of the other party's position, because you're actually trying to figure out why they're doing what they're doing, why they're coming from. And what if you disagree with that? Is there a chance you will disagree with that? But what's the value of that? And you understand exactly how they're responding and why they're responding like they're responding. And I don't think there's any way to know that unless you put yourself in their position. So special communication, considerations at the close. You want to not make fatal mistakes, keep track of what you expect to happen. Doesn't hurt to take notes as you're going through a negotiation also. Make sure to jot down concessions that are given, facts that are given, write them down so you can go back and having a good memory helps also, but if not, write it down. Systematically guarding yourself against self-serving expectations. Once again, that goes to making sure you're including what the other party wants in the deal, and then review the lessons from feedback from similar decisions for similar decisions in the future. Learn by what you're doing today. You can use that later on. And so then in achieving closure, avoid surrendering important information needlessly. Once again, I always want more information than I give. Don't make dumb remarks, and a lot of that goes to thinking before you talk. And then the last thing, put the agreement in written form. And my buddy who's a lawyer, and I think the guy who came in here said they always want to be the one that writes the contract, even though it's more work, because you're able to put it in terms that what you heard. And we're also doing something that's, I've been in some meetings here lately with the new entrepreneurship program. There's a lot of unknowns going in, and it's amazing after a meeting, sitting and talking to people, and some people heard something that was totally different from what other people heard. And it is, we were talking about that yesterday. Just how people can sit in the same meeting and walk out of there with just totally different views of what happened. So how do you reconcile that? You recap it. And how do you do that? You put it in writing and send it out. And generally the person who recaps it and puts it in writing is the one that's going to say, this is the way it actually is. So there's a lot of power in that person who actually recaps or writes the contract. And you guys that are going to law school, that's one of the things that my lawyer buddies tell me is they always want to be the one that shapes the terms of the contract. Okay, so pretty